Welcome back for another episode of the CBSI Hot 10 show. Make sure you go over to comicbookinvest.com and check out the article where I may put a few extra tidbits and details that I don't cover here on the show tonight. And while you're at it, check out all the shows we do have here on the channel. Make sure you tell me what you think in the comments down below, that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And I had to move my whatnot sale to tomorrow because today was just a busy day for me personally. I had to get a new car, and it just took a lot out of me going through that whole process. So I just had to shift my whatnot sale to tomorrow, where I will have some of those Fantastic Four packs, all dollar auction starts, all that fun stuff. So if you want to join me, you're welcome to it, and go check out the links down below. But if you're just here for the Hot 10, don't worry, I got you covered. I'll be starting up the list just after this short little break.
Notable sales.
All right, our first notable sale is courtesy of my buddy Brucifer, who let me know that this DC Universe variant for Flash issue 100 went for an astounding amount, at least to me. I'm personally not a DC Universe, UPC collector. He is, and I had no idea that some of these books go for as much as they do, but this one at auction sold this week for $1,125. That's right. Over $1,000, over $1,100 for this particular DCU variant, with an auction with 28 bids, mind you. So this wasn't a buy it now. There was a fight. There was a battle for this book. And unfortunately, Bruce, I think he came up short on this one. But more on that to come, as me and him are working on something fun to be bringing your way that might be related to this. So keep your eyes on both of our channels in the next few weeks. But moving on to our next notable that I have on the list. This one is unrelated to the DC Universe variants. This is just an IDW 1 in 10 incentive, which, if you guys have watched my channel for a while, know I'm a big fan of these. This particular issue of Sonic, I don't know of anything that really stands out about the issue by itself. Like, there isn't like a huge first appearance or anything like that. It's not like the first Shadow, first Knuckles, or anything like that. This is issue 30 of the IDW run, the 1 in 10 variant. It is, by all intents and purposes, pretty hard to find, as many of these 1 in 10s are. However, this one sold for an astounding $675 this week. Granted, that was an accepted best offer on a 1,000 ask, but there's another one out there looking for about $1,000, and then there's a 9.8 listed for $2,000. This is a 1 in 10. 1 in 10 from IDW. I get it. I think that's silver there on the cover. That's kind of cool. But wow, big numbers on this book. Again, if I'm missing something about this book, I will admit my ignorance on the Sonic mythos. So you can tell me down below why issue 30 is mega important and why it sells for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But in my little bit of research, it looks like it's just the rarity. It's just the rarity alone. But that can be said about a lot of these 1 in 10s. So with that, either way, it's a notable sale for this book. So let's just put that out there. It's a notable sale for $675 for a raw 1 in 10 variant for this Sonic the Hedgehog number 30. Now, before we get on to the Hot 10, I want to remind any out there who needs supplies, use my code RENA10 to save yourself 10% off your entire order. That's RENA10, 10% off your whole order. You get your bags, your boards, your long boxes, your short boxes, your CGC boxes, your top loaders, pages for your cards, top loaders for your cards. Basically anything to keep your comics or collectibles safe. BCW's probably got a product, and if you're going to make an order, save 10% off by using my code RENA10. You help out the channel, you get yourself a discount, you really got nothing to lose. Now, with all of that said, speaking of 10s, let's get to the Hot 10 right now.
Number 10.
And our first book here at number 10 is Exquisite Corpses number 3. This is the 1 per store, 1 per account special thank you edition. We've seen these before. The last 2 issues have these as well. It's a foil version of the cover A, given to shops as, again, a thank you. If you know your shop owner, you got a good relationship with them, maybe you can get this pretty cheap. But otherwise, you're going to find yourself paying about $35 for these right now. So that's the average sale, with a high of 40 so far on about 20 sold. This one's moving a little bit slower than the first 2, because the first 2 came out of the gate guns blazing. I believe that first issue one was like 50 to 60 out of the gate. But who knows? This one could join them, but it might just take a little bit longer, because for now, with almost about 20 sold, 35 bucks on average, highs of 40. It's a pretty consistent price in that range. So that's what the market seems to be paying for this particular book. So keep an eye out for it. And like I said, it's only a one per store / one per account. So not going to be a lot of options if you want to go and get one. Now, with that said, that's our first book on the list, our number 10. So let's see what we've got next.
Number 9.
Well, we got news that Booster Gold's TV series is still moving forward. So Booster Gold's first appearance is also moving forward and continuing to sell. So here at number 9, we've got Booster Gold number 1, which also happens to be the first appearance of Blackguard, played by, what's his name? He was in the Suicide Squad. Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson played Blackguard in the Suicide Squad movie, but that's not why this is popular. It's popular because of Booster Gold. So Booster Gold number 1, Dan Jurgens, over 20 sales this week, which is a 122% increase on volume from last week, based off, again, the recent news. While Raws are averaging 44 bucks, highs are hitting 64. It's kind of been around this range for a while now as far as prices go, but a CGC 9.8 sold at a high of 430 bucks this week. So 430 bucks for a 9.8 of the first appearance of Booster Gold. Wow. How far he has come as a character. But with that said, we're probably going to see him in the DCU in some form. Apart from that, he's also playing a big role in the upcoming KO event over at DC with the Legion of Darkseid, in the future. Because remember, Booster's kind of stuck in the future. Soups is going to go try to save him. I believe that's the inciting event here for that event. So we'll see. Booster's profile is being upped in the months and weeks to come. So something to keep an eye on. With that said, that's our number 9 book. Let's see what we got for you next here.
Number 8.
So, as we are upon the second part of Sandman coming to Netflix, they released it in 2 pieces. First half of the series came out a couple weeks ago. Next half is coming out at the end of the month, and it includes a special episode that focuses in on the character of Death. So, Sandman number 8 is seeing some action this week. Classic book, classic first appearance. There is that rare editorial variant that you can also keep an eye out for if you could find it. But even just the regular edition, almost a couple dozen sold here with 20 plus, averaging $130 still. Raw high, 70 bucks. I had to put the average at 130 because a lot of these copies are graded and a lot of graded copies sell, and all grades sell. It's not just 9.8s like you're seeing 9.0s, 8.5s, 7.0s, whatever you got, they sell. So on average, graded or otherwise, it's a $130 book. Raw high was 70 this week. 9.8, 520. So those were the high water marks there. And like I said, it's a tough book to find. I still don't have one of these. I'm still in the market to look for one because Death is a classic character and this is a classic run. But I'm going to keep shopping personally. With that said, that's our number 8 book, and we've still got more to come here with lucky number 7.
Number 7.
So, Superman the movie has been a hit for the DC universe as well as the box office. It has been a hit. Fantastic Four is coming out this week to challenge it, but I still think Superman has got a foothold here on the market as well as the box office. With that said, a lot of DC books have been moving the last few weeks if you've been watching this list. And this book is another one that is moving pretty well because of, it's got James Gunn and it's got our David Corn Sweat, whatever version of Superman here on the cover of Superman Unlimited number 1. Now, last week, a ton of volume on this. So there was still a ton of sales last week, but it was basically selling for cover, which is about $6. So it was about $6 last week. Tons of copies moving, but basically for cover price as they were clearing out. Again, following the popularity and the success of this movie. This week, however, we've had another 30 sold thereabouts, but the average price now is up to $18 across the board. The average is $18. Highs hitting $29 for this. There are some mixed signed ones out there, like there might be some signed copies thrown in here or there, but by and large, overall, this book has gone up from being a cover price book last week to it's selling for almost 20 now. So just something to keep an eye on. It is a cool cover by Dan Mora. And like I said, it's got James Gunn right there. In James Gunn we trust right now. we'll see what happens next. We still got Peacemaker Season 2 on the way, as well as plenty of announced movies coming to the DC universe. We'll see if they can follow up what they did with Superman, which I finally got to see last weekend, and will admit it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I liked what he did. I liked the angle that they took, and not doing an origin and just jumping right into it. Thought it was a smart move. Now, with that said, that was our number 7 book, so let's keep it rolling with the last book in the top half of the list with number 6.
Number 6.
So we got a lot of sad news this week with the passing of Hulk Hogan yesterday. We had Malcolm Jamal Warner also passing earlier in the week, as well as rock icon Ozzy Osborne. Yeah, it's been a few days, and it's sad to see that the reason why books start selling is because of a celebrity's passing, but it does trigger action in the market, and that is what happened here. So this Patient Number 9 book came out a few years ago along with that Patient Number 9 album that Ozzy released, I think it was in 2022, and in concert with Todd McFarlane, who wrote and did this cover, they made this comic book for that Patient Number 9 release. This week, again, with that unfortunate news of Ozzy's passing, we've seen a number of these move. 40 plus sales for this particular issue alone, averaging $33, highs hitting $50. A signed copy that was signed by both Ozzy and Todd sold for $700 raw this week too. So again, it's sad why this book is selling, but this book is selling, so it finds itself here on the list at number 6. And with that, we're going to move on to our next number at number 5.
Number 5.
On the list last week and climbing up a few spots, we have Captain Planet and the Planeteers, number 1. Neil Adams cover. Yes, that's right. Neil Adams drew that mullet. Captain Planet here, moving up the list. Why? Well, we know we're getting that series still coming to Netflix, but folks apparently are excited by this. 40 plus sales, which is a 43% increase in volume. $20 now for this book, which is a 33% jump in price, and highs hitting $60, which is another 33% jump from last week's high. So across the board, volume and price, Captain Planet is moving and moving well. Yes, there is the newer series that has the pretty cool covers on it, one included by Mark Spears, etc. That is also selling, but the OG original first from back in the 90s, it seems to be the book of choice for collectors that are throwing a lot of prices, a lot of money that way in prices and volume. So both up this week, which why this came in at number 5. Sorry, I'm all tongue-tied, like I said. Long day. But with all of that said, let's keep the list rolling and get on to our number 4.
Number 4.
Another book that was on the list last week that is hanging on to a spot and climbing up one spot on the list. This is X-Men Heir of Apocalypse number 4, where Doug Ramsey gets revealed to be Revelation, the heir to Apocalypse, and the soon-to-be star of the upcoming X-Men event, Age of Revelation, which is coming our way, in a couple of months. With that, I mentioned it last week. A lot of copies selling. A lot of them were selling for cover. This week, we still have a high volume of books with another 50-plus sales for this particular issue 4. But the average price is now up to $15. So all the cover prices are pretty much gone. Averages have risen up to $15, which is a 114% jump from that average of like $6-7 last week. High sale raw. This hit $50, which is a 400% jump from last week's high when this was hitting $10. Like, it was a lot of volume, but it was just hitting $10 last week. Now the average is $15. The highs are hitting $50 on this particular issue. There are 2 covers, but this is the cover of choice amongst collectors and the one to keep an eye out for at this point. But X-Men Heir of Apocalypse, number 4, something to keep an eye on. You never know. You might still be able to go find one out there at your shop. But with that said, that's number 4. So let's see what we got here in the top 3.
Number 3.
We got more adaptation news here on the indie side of things with Cal Exit going to be adapted by John Wick's director Chad Stahelski. I think that's how you say his name. So Cal Exit is going to be adapted. This is issue 1, not to be confused with the issue 1 that came out this week. That's a new volume, a new series. This is the original. The original that was in 2017 for Cal Exit. So keep that in mind when you're out there shopping. A lot of cover price sales. This thing was still selling pretty cheap, but as the week has gone on since the news wasn't made, we're seeing more prices start to rise. So 60 plus sales for this issue 1, which has multiple covers. There's a lot of store exclusives and things like I think there's a fried pie variant and things like that. A lot of variants on this book, but we're focusing in here on the A and the B because those were the open order ones that probably the easiest to track down. High's hitting 18 bucks. While a lot of sales are still in that cover price kind of range or a little bit more, the high so far has been $18, while sets of these two covers together have consistently been selling about 25 bucks. So keep that in mind. Keep on the lookout for this one, as again, I do like the pedigree of the director adapting this. So I mean, John Wick was filmed well, so this could be interesting and something to keep an eye on in the weeks and months ahead, because this is still far off. It's still far off from actually being a reality, but that doesn't mean people aren't looking for comics now. That's our number 3 this week, thanks to that news, but we've got 2 books left, so let's see what they are.
Number 2.
Again, just like number 6 on the list, this is another book related to Ozzy. Again, sad passing of Aussie Osborne this week. Kind of, took many of us by surprise. I mean, he was just on tour, just 4th of July, so it wasn't that long ago. But here we go with this Rocket Edition. I think this came through Malibu, I think was the publisher, and it also was polybagged with a guitar pick. But this seems to be the book of choice in the Ozzy world. There are multiple Ozzy comics out there. If you go look, there are multiple books that have Ozzy Osborne on the cover, but these two have stood out from the pack this week. That Patient number 9, and this one here, Ozzy Osborne number 1 from the 90s. So 50 plus sales on this particular book, averaging about $15, while highs hit $30. It's just, again, it's sad why this book is moving, but it brought Ozzy back to the forefront of people's minds. So they wanted to grab a little piece of something, I guess, to remember him by. So Ozzy Osborne, number 1 here, coming in at number 2, which leaves us with 1 book left. So let's see what that top book of the week is.
And our number 1.
And I mentioned Age of Revelation, and here we go. Once again, hanging on to that number 1 spot for another week. We have this 1 per account, 1 per store giveaway from Marvel. X-Men Age of Revelation number 0, the Humberto Ramos cover. This book was polybagged when it was given to shops. Again, 1 per account. While the volumes are not where they were last week, where I had 180 plus sales that I counted, we still had well over 100 sales this week, but the prices have increased. So averages are now $50, where they were, 32, I think, last week. So a 56% increase on the average sale price, while highs hit $100 raw for this thing. And that's a 64% jump. So while the volume might be down a little bit, it's still outpacing most other books, as you saw by the numbers on this list. So volumes are still very strong for this. Prices are going up, or at least were over the week. We'll see what happens in the week ahead, but this is what happened last week. So keep that in mind. This is a market report over what happened, not a speculation on what's going to happen. So keep that in mind too while we go through this. But here we are again, number 1 once more, X-Men Age of Revelation number 0. I'm looking forward to this series, but we're still a couple months out. I don't think the official series kicks off until September. Well, actually October, but I think the intro part 1s and whatnot are going to start in September. So got to get through the summer first, but this is coming our way, and this is a book that a lot of folks are still running towards. Now, with that said, that was our list for this week. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know how many you have. Let me know, what you think of this list, and stick around for the boys on the Qualified. They're coming up next, not only with the outside looking in books, those books that nearly made the list and some things you might want to pay attention to in the week and weeks ahead, but they're also going to be doing all of their segments along with a spotlight here on Darwin Cook, who is a favorite of many. I like Cook's style. You get that classic kind of Bruce Timm kind of vibe too. I dig it. Looking forward to this. Stick around. The boys will be starting up as soon as I'm done here. And with that, I'll thank you again for all the support. Check me out in my Whatnot sale tomorrow, and I'll see you all soon with some more content. All right?